Lizzo, the singer, is apparently a horrendous boss. So, according to this article from page 6, Lizzo forced dancers to eat bananas from sex workers' vaginas during an Amsterdam trip, according to a bombshell lawsuit. Now, it's also interesting there has been like other people that she has done business with that basically backed up claims within this lawsuit. So, there's probably some some believability towards this, which is very interesting. So, big girl, big touring, and Charlene Quigley. Hold on, let me zoom this in. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, a little bit more. So, the truth really hurts. Wait, hold on. Yeah. The truth really hurts. Three Lizzo's former dancers are suing the Good as Hell performer as well as Big Girl Big Touring and Charlene Quigley for allegedly subjecting them to endure weight shaming, which I don't know if people who are like listening to this know who Lizzo is. I've never listened to any of her songs or anything like that, but I have seen photos and videos of her, and she is basic. Her body type is pretty similar to like if you remember back in the day, Ghostbusters, like the old Ghostbusters where they had like the Muffin Man that turned into like a ghost. She kind of has like that type of look, right? So her weight shaming people is like, do you not see anything wrong with that? Like, Jesus. Sexually denigrating behavior and pressuring them to participate in disturbing sex shows. Like, why? Like, see, this is the thing that I never really understand about why some like bosses do weird stuff like this. Like, why? Why can't you just focus on like making money? Why do you gotta go all weird? So plaintiffs Ariana Davis and Crystal Williams claim in the lawsuit filed Tuesday and obtained by page 6 that they were eventually fired while the third plaintiff, Noel Rodriguez, resigned over Lizzo's stunning behavior. While on a concert trip with the Grammy Award winning artist to Amsterdam in February 2023, the plaintiffs claim Lizzo invited them for a night out on the town, which ended in the city's red light district. The area is known for its sex theaters, sex shops, and clubs and bars where nudity is on full display. Which, again, like, this is one thing to do on your own time. This is one thing to do with just like friends. But when you are a like boss, why would you bring your like workers to basically a place with hookers? Like, that ain't good at all. Let's see. So the lawsuit states things quickly got out of hand. Lizzo began inviting cast members to take turns touching the nude performers, catching dildos launched from the performers' vaginas, and eating bananas protruding from the performers' vaginas. Like, that just sounds like super disgusting and like super like unclean. Like, yeah. Don't eat bananas that are like sticking out of a vagina. Like, the suit also claims Lizzo allegedly pressured and goaded Davis into touching one nude performer's breasts. And the plaintiffs claim that just a month later, Lizzo 35 deceived them once again into attending a nude show, thereby robbing them of the choice not to participate in the document state. So what? Basically, it was like a situation like, hey, girls and like coworkers or whatever, or like employees, let's go to the bar. So you think that you're going to the bar, but really you're going to a place with a whole bunch of like hookers and strippers and like boobs out, etc. It's like it's not a good thing to do with your employees. Like regardless of how close you are to your employees, like there are just like lines that you don't cross. Like this is probably like one of the clearest signs of like potentially sexual harassment like ever. And she's probably going to pay out a good chunk of money to each one of the people involved in this because you are a boss regardless of your industry. You don't do this regardless of like you're a boss that's a girl and you got workers that are girls. You don't do this, right? You don't want to disrespect your employees like this to such a heavy extent. But two, it's like she basically lied to them as to what they were actually going to be doing. And then three, it's just plain disgusting. Davis also claims in the lawsuit that at one point she had no choice but to soil herself on stage during an excruciating re audition, fearing the repercussions of excusing herself to go to the restroom. I kind of hope that she didn't have to soil herself. Like, Lord. Eventually, Lizzo allegedly fired Davis on the spot after learning Davis had recorded one of their meetings, even though it was in order to have a copy of the notes the artist provided. Rodriguez resigned shortly thereafter out of solidarity with Davis and the disrespect Lizzo allegedly showed her. And the lawsuit claims she feared that Lizzo intended to hit her and would have done so if one of the other dancers had not intervened. The plaintiffs are suing for general and special damages as well as punitive damages and attorney's fees. The stunning nature of how Lizzo and her management team treated their performers seems to go against everything Lizzo stands for publicly, while privately she weight shames her dancers and demeans them in ways that are absolutely demoralizing, the plaintiff's attorney, Ron Zambrano, said in a statement. Like, also, like, just think about it like this, right? Say you, like, weighed, like, 400 pounds, right? Which she probably weighs, like, 400 pounds. And then you start weight shaming your employees for being too fat. Like this whole thing is just so confusing to me, and it's just like it just goes to show that like all these like celebrities, these singers that have like massive audiences where like their audiences love them, etc. Like this is the problem with like celebrities like her is that her fans believe that she can do no wrong, right? Like they think that she is like an idol or like an angel or like a goddess or whatever. Like there's so many simps for her or whatever. And like you can even see it in like the Twitter comments where like people are like feel so betrayed because of the things that are going on with this like lawsuit. They're like, wow, like if all this is true, it is literally everything that she basically stood for is just a lie. So just think about that, right? like another way to think of it is like say that your brand or basically the way that people like viewed you is like a very God-fearing person, one that like should only be with one person for like your whole life. You shouldn't have premarital sex. You shouldn't be doing drugs. You should like, manage your money right, all that sort of stuff, right? But it comes out to like, like it gets released or like it gets found out that really you like snort cocaine, sleep with hookers on the daily, have affairs on your wife, beat your kids, and literally just rob from the people that are closest to you. Like, that'd be kind of pretty bad, right? So, just, I think people should be like very careful to like not view these celebrities like they're like some sort of idol. And then also, too, like, if you are an employee and your boss is mistreating you like this, sue them. Like, because one, you're going to win. And then two, it's just so wrong to have to deal with something like this. Like, the thing is, like, employees or people who like want to work someplace and like they probably like loved the idea of working for maybe their idol Lizzo, right? These dancers, etc., where they were probably looking really forward to it. They're like, oh, I'm gonna be able to perform, I'm gonna be able to be creative, whatever. I get to be with my like this one person that I look up to so much. But instead you get mistreated, you get shamed, you get insulted, the pay is probably not good, and then also you have to potentially eat bananas out of a vagina. It's like, yeah. So reps for Lizzo didn't immediately return Page Six's request for comment, and Page Six has also reached out to the dancers for further comment. Now let's check out some of these comments because they're probably going to be pretty interesting. And if you know more about this or if you have thoughts about this, feel free to leave the comments. To me, I stumbled upon this on Twitter, and I was like, "What's going on with like this Lizzo lady?" Right? And then I'm like looking at these comments, and it's like, oh, like if she did all this, if this is all true, like she lied about everything that she stood for, all this kind of stuff. And then like other people are like, it seems kind of like crazy that she would body shame people. Like that doesn't make sense, right? So I ended up stumbling upon this article and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, it's just so dumb. So this comment section is so interesting to me. Shows you how fickle society is. One minute they love you, and the next they love to rip you to spreads. I guess into shreds. I'm not making any judgment calls until I see a little more evidence and facts, not just allegations. Like I agree, but apparently there are other individuals close to her that weren't technically like employees, but were like associated with her that have came out and basically backed up these claims. So there's a little bit more weight on that. But then also, these claims are very specific, right? Do you know how specific you gotta be that, like, we were forced to eat bananas out of a vagina? Like, it was protruding out of a vagina and we were forced to eat it? That seems pretty specific, right? Now, I'm not saying that's technically just automatically going to make it true, but if the individuals can basically provide enough like believable emotion in a courtroom, they're probably going to win a lot of favor in terms of the court, in terms of the jury. So if they were to actually get to that point, which it probably would just get settled. So, whew. So Liz has always given me a vibe like all her body positivity and be kind stuff was just an act. Plus, the way she reacts to any sort of criticism is very telling. Glad she's finally being called out. She's been allowed to hide behind her weight and her race for far too long. Where would these artists be if there were no autotune, studio tricks, pyrotechnics, dancers, and other distractions? There'd be nothing but a voice that couldn't stay on key. What's crazy, right, is the AI capabilities now, because like I stumbled upon this like video of like an AI dub of Eric Cartman doing like a rock and roll song or something like that, which was crazy good. Like really good. I was like, wow. You could literally just create a completely 100% AI influencer that can sing, that can dance, that looks hot, that can trick people into believing that they are in love with them, and basically have it all automated, which is kind of like crazy. And I bet you that there's going to be like studios out there already like working on it to where they just don't even have to deal with any of these people like ever again. Forced question mark. My boss may ask me to do something or even order me to do something, but if I am just not willing to do it for whatever reason, then guess what? I ain't doing it. I might get fired, but so what? Now, if she puts a gun to my head, then well, I just might have to reassess my decision. The problem is that there's a lot of ways that people can get leverage over you. And I think this is like an interesting thing, right? With this like next comment that kind of like brings up like a side to this, right? So a lot of touring companies hold your passport for ease of entry and exit from a country by using a single person to fill out all the documentation. Also, being fired means you are on your own in a foreign country, often without adequate funds to return home. Not legal in most countries, but how many performers know that the touring company is responsible for getting all the employees they brought into the country back to their home country. Not to mention, is like, you got to keep in mind that the majority of people in the United States specifically can't even survive like a $500 emergency. That's how bad we are with our personal finances. So these dancers are probably pretty heavy in debt, probably got very little money in their savings account, even though they might be making good money. And pretty much everything is pretty much tied to Lizzo. Like, Lizzo basically controls their fate, literally, because she can fire them at will pretty much at any time, you know? So, it gets into like a very sticky situation, right? Because it's like you are an individual that has already power over your employees because you are employing them. Next, you have extra leverage because you can basically control whether or not they leave the country depending on the situation. Three, you can literally alter the course of their life, not just by firing them, but also getting rid of like recommendations towards other places. Because you could just basically like ruin someone's career by basically like saying to all the other main main people that might actually end up hiring that individual, be like, hey, don't hire this person. This person was a bad person. They sucked at the job. They backstabbed me. They stole money from me, etc. And that person's basically like barred from pretty much the industry. So it's just something you got to really think about. Is like, I feel bad. Like, again, if this is all true, because again, this is still allegations. But if this is all true, I feel really bad for the dancers, for the workers, because like when you go like work a job, right? The only expectations that you should really have is like, if I do a good job, I should have money coming in and not really worry about money coming in, right? As long as I do my job, I should have money coming in, right? Bare minimum. Like without having to like worry about bananas with vaginas, like, or having to go to weird nude shows. I support this lawsuit and hope that people won't work with Lizzo anymore. Let's see. So, as an attorney, I've sued on behalf of clients who had a small fraction of vaguely similar done to them, and it's a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Ladies, do not settle for less. Like, here's the thing. Again, right? If this is true, right? If this is true, they should try to milk her out of as much money as possible because they pretty much all lost their job. They lost probably a really good source of income, and they just had to deal with such disgusting behavior and disgusting things in general. Let's see. There is a good reason almost all of us women would rather work for a man than for a woman. Let's see. Sounds about right. I completely believe this. What a team building exercise. This is workplace bullying and abuse of the highest order. How does a person work with colleagues, then proceed to degrade them in the cruelest, most vile way? If true, it appears the Lizzo we see is not the real person, rather a projection of a confection sickly sweet and devoid of goodness. The thing is, like, a lot of these celebrities are only celebrities because they got popular due to some reason. Like, that's pretty much the main reason. Like, these people, guess what, are human, and so humans can be bad. Go figure.